Welcome back, everyone. Hope you guys' day's been going well. Bengals 23, Eagles 23 in a tie last afternoon here in Philadelphia. Bengals, now look, they started off conservative. There was, called a slow start, called a conservative. I tell you what, though, I did like it. I liked the idea there. They tried to establish the run game, and, well, we've seen how that happened. It didn't go well, but you got to like the idea there. I thought that was the proper game plan because it was a Philadelphia team that just got completely ripped to shreds last week against the Los Angeles Rams from a run game perspective. It was Joe Burrow that just threw the ball 61 times. You wanted to try to, for that reason, try to establish a run game, try to take some of the pressure off your rookie quarterback. You don't want to throw the ball 60 times a game anyway. And if you get that run game going, that'd be a good sign. Now, unfortunately, it didn't really go that way for the Bengals, right? The offensive line continued to struggle there. But I tell you what I did like. I tell you what I did notice. John Ross benched him. Loved it. Sit down, John Ross. I don't know. It's not even as much about John Ross. I don't want to bash on the guy or anything. I mean, he's got the potential to do this. He's got potential to do stuff in the NFL, but it's just the fact the guys behind him, I felt like had so much more potential. The Higgins who had 5 catches, 9 targets. He really started to show up in his offense. 2 touchdowns once John Ross sat down. You had Auden Tate who 4 targets, they said, 2 catches. I thought he had 3. Was I wrong? I said 4 targets, 2 catches. I thought he had 3 attempts in the end zone there to Auden Tate. And you notice that right away. The second they slot Tate in there, that's the man Joe Burrow's looking at in the end zone. He knows that that's the man he wants, right? That's, I think, what a lot of Bengals fans are saying. Auden Tate. The man with the catch radius, gonna love the connection with Joe Burrow. And you see them throw a couple of fades Tate's way. Now, the one was just an outstanding defensive play. And the other one, Joe Burrow just missed him a little bit on there. So, though, that's the guy you want, though. If there's a guy you're gonna take those fades in the end zone too, it's Auden Tate, the guy that can go up and get him. So I like seeing that in there. A nice addition to this offense. Even AJ Green. Shout out to AJ Green. We didn't hear a lot about him. I did catch you one time, AJ. I seen you over there. Burrow rolled out and you're over there jogging your route across the field there. You gotta get open, fella. Somebody's got to do it. But besides that, he looked pretty solid. And those, he came down strong with those passes after some bad drops and whatever in the first couple games. Burrow threw some ones in tight windows there to AJ Green. Strong hands on him, came down with them. So you got even AJ Green started to turn the corner here, I think, in this game a little bit, which you expected. A lot of us a couple weeks in with how little he's played the last few seasons. It was going to take a little bit for him to knock the rust off there. So I think even AJ Green we're starting to see trend up a little bit here. I think the defensive line played well. It was probably their best game of the season, in all honesty. Lawson had 2 sacks. He should have had a third one where he's just kind of looking at Carson Wentz's feet. We've seen that a couple of times in this game. Bengals holding Wentz by his ankles. He just kind of walked away there, but it was getting to him. That was nice to see the Bengals defensive line start to get some pressure on the quarterback. Dunlap even had a pass knockdown there, I think, later in the game. Wentz was something else, though. I tell you what, I am extremely grateful for what we got in Joe Burrow right now, because Wentz was just, I don't know what to say. This guy was a one-time MVP candidate, and he was just mistake after mistake. He was struggling. Over there, and I think that's the worst quarterback the Bengals have seen in 3 weeks. Now, again, granted, I was, getting ecstatic. Every time they was like, let's throw the football with Carson Wentz, I was like, good, let's do it. Miles Sanders has been gashing his team, again, 7 carries for 70 yards he had at one point, and they just kept slinging it with Carson Wentz. Sure. Bengals pass defense has been solid. He keeps throwing it to him anyway. Let him throw the football all he wants, I couldn't believe that was an interesting game plan there for the Eagles. But again, the Bengals defense, if there was a game they played well in, it was this one right here. They got the key takeaways. And I mean, if you take away that one bad overthrow by Wentz, he had somebody down deep there. I had to step on him. Besides that, I think the Bengals secondary, they played pretty well at keeping the big plays out of the game and defending them well when they tried to go after him there, though. So it was good on the Bengals defense. My number one concern, is it a secret? Anybody want to take a guess what it isn't? Yeah, Joe Burrow is not the concern. It's the offensive line. The offensive line may have just had their worst game of the season, which is impressive when you consider how bad they played the first 2 games. I don't know where you look. I know where you look, but I mean, you look at this penetration on Joe Mixon. How many times did Joe Mixon? I like the idea. I am a big fan. Don't run out of the shotgun. Run out of the eye. Give the, make the defense at least respect the play action or something a little bit. Give him some less time to get the, penetrate the line. But they was handing this football off to Joe Mixon, and he was getting tackled the second the ball was put in his hands. It was what? There had to be 3, 4, 5 times that happened where they just went through that Bengals offensive line. Mixon could do nothing. He did a great job. Mixon did. Consider he went 17 for 49. To consider the yards he did get for how many times he was hit in the backfield and to still manage to get yards out of it, he did great. But to see that happen, to see Joe Burrow get sacked 8 times, there wasn't a time, I can't believe it, the more you watch other football teams play and see how much time every quarterback in this league has to stand back there compared to Joe Burrow. The Steelers are missing an entire left side of their offensive line. I think they're on their third or left tackle or left guard. And they're just night and day ahead of where the Bengals are right now. And then you see Joe Burrow go off the field injured. That's scary. That was a very scary sight as a Bengals fan. You see him jump up and the way he lands, I thought that almost looked like an ACL type of play. The way you just kind of, you come down, you got your knee, you just, your momentum's going one way, the guy's coming at you the other way, you're just landing the way he was coming off of that little leap throw he had there. That was scary. And if that was not scary enough, I don't know what is for the Bengals to say, we got to do something. We have got to do something about this offensive line. I don't even know if you want to blame individual players at this point. They had 8 sacks. 6 different players on this Eagles team sacked the quarterback. That ain't just Bobby Hart. You can't just go, oh, that's Bobby Hart's fault, or oh, that's Fred Johnson's fault. That's Billy Price. That was a team effort on allowing sacks to the quarterback. And eventually, you got to look at the offensive coordinator. You got to look at the offensive line coach. Whoever the offensive line coach, you gotta walk him out the door sooner or later, don't you? This is your prized possession in Joe Burrow, and that is priority number 1 is protecting this guy. And I felt like that was the worst game this offensive line has had so far this season, and that was after seeing Joey Bosa and Melvin Ingram, after seeing Myles Garrett last week. Now, you can't sleep on Barnett, you can't sleep on Cox, but to see the way that played, you'd think you'd start to see some growth in week by week 3, and it felt like they took a step backwards. And I still do think there's some solid pieces on his Bengals offensive line, and to see it not gelling at all, I think eventually you got to start looking at the coaching staff, and you gotta consider something. Is anybody out there who wants to give away an offensive line? I seen the Giants cut another offensive line, and I can't believe the Bengals didn't pick another one of those up. It worked so well the first time around, right? Makes you pull your hair out, though. It makes you pull your hair out, the thought you don't want to see this guy get hurt. You really don't. You don't want to see anyone get hurt. But to lose your quarterback the way he's played, 3 games in, Joe Burrow's throwing for 64.5%. That's solid. That is very solid, especially for a rookie quarterback. 821 pass yards, 5 TDs, 1 interception. Think about that. Think about those numbers. And you remember the on the Cincinnati year? Remember when the Patriots started 2-2? Their offensive line was in shambles to start the season. Brady was getting a lot of pressure. I think he had, 4 touchdowns, 2 INTs to start the season. He didn't have any games over 250 passing yards. People were panicking in Foxborough. They going to win the Super Bowl that year? They might have. But they went 2-2, went to Cincinnati and just clobbered us. That just shows you, though, the best of the best in this league, when they don't have an offensive line protecting them, they're struggling. Everybody does. There's so many cases of that. You see it with Rodgers when his line was struggling. And to see the way Joe Burrow's playing with absolutely no time to throw the football, getting hit after hit after hit after hit, and to see that he still has only thrown 1 interception through 1 game or 3 games as a rookie quarterback is impressive. That is beyond impressive to think what this guy can do. If he even gets a semi-decent offensive line in front of him and some time to throw this football. I know the deep balls ain't been there, but again, he hasn't had time. He has not had time to stand back there maybe once, twice, a handful of times all game where he's had a chance to take that shot. They got to protect him. That's all I can think about as a Bengals fan right now, right? It's a marathon, not a sprint. This team isn't successful this year. They're set to be successful for years to come, no, if they can keep their quarterback healthy and they can build around this guy from a defensive, offensive line standpoint. They're going to be pretty good. They just got to get things right, because I don't know if I can take another week like that one right there. That was nerve-wracking. Bengals tied 23-23, 0-2-1 in a season. I think you got to win 10 games to make playoffs. Still doable for them. It is still doable, but again, number 1 concern here, offensive line. We'll see what they do. Love to hear what you guys are thinking. As always, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.